It was that 1 second clip in the Barbie trailer that made me gasp. The recognition of the shoes. Remembering Barbie feet perpetually shaped to wear high heels. The whole pink aesthetic. Right away, I knew I would have to watch this movie. More importantly, I already had a certain mental image of what the movie would look like. This is what I call iconic shoe moment. And this is what I want to talk about today. Iconic shoe moments in movies. And I am particularly interested in the role that the shoe plays in the narrative, how a shoe can tell a story. Now, back to the Barbie movie for a minute. It's been more than a year since that movie came out, and yet that image is still embedded in my brain. And later in the movie, we get another delightful shoe moment, and that is when weird Barbie gives stereotypical Barbie the choice between two shoes. A tie into the Matrix when Morpheus gives Neo the choice between blue pill or the red pill. And in the history of iconic shoe moments in movies, there are obvious ones that everybody thinks about. For example, Cinderella, the glass slippers of Cinderella that transform a humble young woman to a princess. Too bad she gets to marry a person who doesn't remember what she looks like, but he remembers her shoe size, right? And she gets to spend the rest of her life with this dude. But hey, whatever, she's gonna be a princess. And the glass slippers symbolize transformation into an idealized self, some kind of a dream, and the shoe helps Cinderella to transform into her dream happy self. Another one that everybody thinks about is Wizard of Oz, the ruby slippers of Dorothy that are the transportation mechanism to get her home. The shoes in this case symbolize searching for something that you already have a possession of. And therefore, as you're searching into things, making sure you're looking inwards and searching for it inside yourself before you go outside to search for it. Next, let's talk about Marie Antoinette. In the 2006 movie, contains a montage of shoes that is intersected with other examples of opulence, such as pastries, clothing, partying, and I just love the comparison of shoes and pastries. To me, it just makes sense. Each shoe was designed by Manolo Polanic, and honestly, I want them all. Each one is unique and delectable and fancy and beautiful, and I just wish I could at least touch it, right? And later there's a split second where, if you look very closely, there's one frame where there are Converse shoes placed in the background, clearly completely historically inaccurate. And the movie is about a teenager that is thrust into a complex situation, and the clothing and partying and the fancy shoes is her coping mechanism. Lately, my thoughts are consumed with shoes, and it's all because of the novel I'm working on right now. In this story, the main character uses her footwear to express her emotions, each pair telling its own tale. And if this piques your interest, join my mailing list at ihat.com/free-ebook. And when the novel comes out, you'll be the first to know about it. And since we're here, why don't you check out one of my existing novels that are already published? For example, Take the Highway, a story about overcoming heartbreak. But back to shoes. I want to draw your attention to the movie Desperately Seeking Susan. This is a 1985 movie starring Madonna. And it features black studded boots, which Madonna wears in a very unique way. Instead of wearing them in the conventional way you expect her to wear them in, she wears them unzipped and folded over with the socks peeking through. And this symbolizes her personality, her rebellious nature, her complete inability to follow the rules or do what people expect her to do. And I just love those shoes in the movie. I love how it expresses her personality and the personality of the persona she's playing in that movie. Next, let's go back to the future, which gave us the futuristic sneaker, the sneaker that adjusts to the size of the wearer's feet. And I'm still waiting for that shoe to come out. Aren't you? All of us want that shoe that just fits to you instead of you fitting into the shoe. Next, let's go and have a look at Pretty Woman. And who can forget Julia Roberts wearing the thigh-high boots, a young woman in full control of her sensuality. And as we watch her dress into a more conservative clothing, we can see her lose some of that confidence, right? She's more certain in this outfit than in some of the other outfits she wears in the movie. And that is very interesting. Another movie that I saw recently that had a very interesting shoe moment is Monkey Man. There is a scene towards the end of the movie where the main character finds this random shoe on the floor, picks it up, and uses it as an act of violence against one of the villains. And while I was watching the movie, I was with my family, and all of us were talking and chatting. And when that scene came up, I shushed everybody because that was a scene all of us needed to pay attention to. It was so compelling to see a very colorful, shiny shoe used in an act of violence. And I'm not going to show you a clip. I'll only show an image because it's perhaps too violent. But if you like action movies, I highly recommend you watch that movie. It's sort of like John Wick but set in India. Really cool. And another movie that has grabbed my attention is Crazy Rich Asians. And in the wedding scene, there's that one clip where the bride walks in and there's water flowing down the aisle, and her feet have body paint on them. This moment's so beautiful, so magical. The movie kind of sucker punched me a little bit because it's a funny movie, it's a comedy. I wasn't expecting to see something that would make me cry, but when that scene happened, I was so moved by how beautiful it is, and I wasn't expecting it. And I know some of you will say, but wait a minute, she's not wearing a shoe. You're right, but she's wearing a meta shoe. She's wearing something that's like a shoe. Now the water, the body paint, the air is her form of shoes. And that moment is absolutely beautiful and delightful, and I absolutely love it. So what are our shoe moments in movies that you remember? Please let me know. And if you enjoyed this content, go check out some of my other shoe stories on my website. I'll put the link down below.